Hey everybody, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. I'm Jim. I'm here with Steve, and it's November 7th, 2020.
Good morning, everybody.
Beautiful day in Northeast.
Very, very beautiful out. Jim and I just got back from a freshman football game, Ramapo High School versus Del Barton, the Green Wave.
Let's set the stage for our fans that, these are 14-year-old young men, right?
Right.
Freshmen in high school, and beautiful day for it.
Well, we talked about it. It's football, and we had the opportunity to go on a beautiful morning in the fall here and watch it. So, unfortunately, Ramapo took on a bigger, better team. Del Barton, I think the score was like 23-ish to 6-ish.
One of the power conference teams
Sure.
in North New Jersey and so forth. And, of course, we're not going to get away without mentioning that St. Joe's beat Don Bosco last night for our high school fans.
Yeah, convincingly.
34-14 on the road.
Sure, the running back on St. Joe's only ran for about 309. Audric, he's going to Michigan State, so watch out for what's his last name? Estime?
Yep.
And, but again, we got to be thankful that New Jersey allowed high school to play.
Yeah.
It's very limited.
Short season.
There's going to be no state champions, playoffs, things like that. But New York and Connecticut completely shut it down. So, again, we're grateful that at least the kids got an opportunity to play,
Yep.
and especially the seniors. That still, it's not what you would want for your senior year, but at least there's
right?
some memories involved for them. And I think that's pretty much it. I think
Well, as far
there
as-
might be a week or so to go, I would think, but outside of that.
I certainly wanted to mention that today in New Jersey high school football, and we're talking powerhouses in football. Number 1, St. Peter's versus number 2, Bergen Catholic. And I had a chance to see Bergen Catholic play. These guys are beasts. They're huge.
Right.
And a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, but this is the matchup we wanted to see.
On both sides of the ball, I would imagine there must be minimum between those rosters, probably 20 Division One prospects.
Yeah, I talked about that. I had a conversation with one of the assistant coaches from St. Joe's, and he was telling me, Bergen Catholic may have literally 12 D1 type players, right? And,
Yeah.
but that's the matchup. This is kind of the state championship game, 1 versus 2.
Sure.
Right? Unfortunately, we're not involved, but we appreciate the talent on.
Or we able to probably attend either.
I know, but yet you can go to a freshman game,
Well, that's the point. Well, the freshman game obviously is just typically parents and family. A game of this magnitude would attract at least a couple thousand, if not more.
Yeah.
So I understand the
What, the St. Petersburg and Catholic
sure,
game?
like a
Oh my
Jones
God!
Bosco, you know.
Easily 5,000 people.
Right.
Easily.
Right.
But that's the game today. So
Yeah.
and they're actually streaming it live, so you can watch it on NJ.com.
And
with
the,
a replay
the
or-
weather couldn't be better. It's actually, it seems like it's bordering on 76, 77 degrees outside.
Well, I'll give you the 70s. I don't know.
Right,
from-
but
from
it's
there.
it's
Yeah.
just a beautiful fall day.
You bet. But I certainly, before we're not done yet with football, but I want to certainly mention that this segment's brought to us by Coriano Trucking of West Haverstraw, New York, and I'll be seeing president of said company this evening.
Oh, you will be.
I will be.
Really?
I will be.
Show sponsor meeting?
We'll discuss some business, and
Okay.
some marketing things.
Good, 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 good.
But listen, what else is going on in football? Let's talk about college football because there's a big game tonight.
There is.
And I wanted your insight here. I know you could be a little biased. You're a Notre Dame guy, right?
Right.
But
Fan, always.
Let's do this as mono and mono, impartial observers. And what do you think's going to happen tonight?
I think what's going to happen tonight, the game is actually at Notre Dame.
It is.
And it should be in front of a capacity crowd of at least, I would imagine, 1,000 people.
And Trevor Lawrence will not be the quarterback for the Clemson
It
Tigers.
doesn't matter if Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback or not. Notre Dame has played Clemson twice, I think, within the last 5 years. And
one was kind of a shellacking, if I recall.
well, I was going to lead up to that. Why was it a shellacking? Because Clemson the best team in the country and has been for literally, Alabama, of course, right there. But
7, 8, 9 years kind of thing, right?
It's no different than Notre Dame playing Alabama for the national championship, 5 years ago now? Manti Te'o and the fishing, episode aside, we still, send our condolences.
Not going into that.
We do still send our condolences to the dead fiance who never existed, and the family. No, but back to the game. Clemson is just faster, bigger, stronger. It's that simple. Notre Dame is ranked top 5. Clemson number 1. Clemson has his freshman quarterback. He's a black kid. I'd be remiss if I could pronounce his name correctly.
I'm not going to give it a shot because I tried it this morning.
Udamunga, something like that. Udamunga, something like that.
Back up to Trevor Lawrence.
Right, but last week Clemson played Boston College, and we're literally behind Boston College in the first half. Came back a little closer than you would imagine. However, Clemson last year, when they won the national championship, was in a game of their lives against North Carolina. They remember went to overtime. Yeah. So that happens throughout the year.
I watched them play Syracuse a couple of years ago, and Syracuse gave them, what's for all game long, and they had to eke it out. But you're right. They are the best team.
You asked me my opinion. What's going to happen tonight? I think Clemson wins convincingly.
I'm going to think it's going to be a little bit closer than that, but I think Notre Dame can possibly pull this off. I mean, this is a big game for Brian Kelly. I've been on the fence. He's kind of one of those fiery type coaches, and he was, on the sidelines. He berated his quarterbacks left and right, and I'm surprised he still survived.
Nah, he's reined it in. It's probably the third year now where he admitted that his demonstrative demeanor might not be the best approach.
Yeah, okay.
And actually, one of the guys who used to berate was Tommy Rees.
Oh my God, he gave him hell
and
every
Tommy
time.
Rees is the offensive coordinator for Notre Dame.
He is,
right?
Yes, he is.
And don't be surprised if Tommy Rees becomes the head coach of Notre Dame
5 years from now.
Well, whenever Kelly decides to pack it in. But in Brian Kelly's defense, yes, is Notre Dame expected to win national championships? Of course they are.
Yeah.
But Brian Kelly's got him to the national championship game. Can't say that about any other previous administration since Mr. Holtz was in charge. The Bob Davies, the Willinghams, and the George O'Leary era that lasted, 48
hours?
47, 48 hours?
Right, the Charlie Weiss era, of course.
Correct. Right?
So but they got a lot of talent. I'm liking Ian Book more and more.
I love Ian Book.
And who is 23 on the Irish, the running back? He was a stud, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But they got a good running game. And
they do. I mean, that's Notre Dame's formula. But Ian Book is a senior, and he's had a really good career. And I don't see Ian Book translating to the NFL.
Not at this point.
I don't see him getting drafted. I see him obviously
potentially can get drafted. I mean, everybody gets drafted.
But anyway, Ian Book is not the problem at Notre Dame. And back to the game tonight again. I just think it's a simple formula. Clemson has team speed. Etnay is playing.
You're not saying blown out, though, right?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm going to think Notre Dame keeps it within 3 points.
No.
Nail biting.
No, I say Clemson wins definitely by 20.
Oof.
That's not a blowout.
On Notre Dame's field, that's a blowout.
No, it's not.
That's a blowout.
No, losing to Michigan State by 20 is a blowout.
Right. Good segue to
but Clemson is the best team in the country.
Agreed. Ohio State looks really powerful.
I'm just saying in the polls right now.
Right.
I'm glad you transferred the conversation to Ohio State. I think Ohio State is
loaded.
And it's a good segue, and they're playing Rutgers today.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on this game?
Well, listen, Rutgers.
The 1-1 Scarlet Knights.
Right, Rutgers surprised us and beat Michigan State, right, and then played Indiana. Thought they were going to continue that momentum, and they got beat. So now they're going up against possibly certainly the top 2-3 teams in the country.
Sure, I mean, let's make no bones about it.
It's
Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson.
I think Ohio State can win by 30 points.
And you can interchange those 3 teams.
I think Ohio State wins by 30 points today.
Yeah. No question.
But that's in Rutgers, actually, I believe. No, actually, it's in the Horseshoe.
It's in the Horseshoe.
That's right. You're right.
I would, I think Ohio State rolls, and I mean rolls.
Yeah, Justin Fields is playing out of his mind. He's
Yeah,
got a
just-
lot of weapons.
That's the thing about Ohio State is they can send 10 guys to the NFL each year, and guess what? 10 more are coming in from high school.
You got it. You got it. But listen, this doesn't look good for Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines, who took it on the chin, by Michigan State
Yeah,
last week.
that's surprising for a Jim Harbaugh Michigan team. But
1-6.
yeah,
versus-
Michigan's playing Indiana today. I find that to be a good game. Indiana ranked 17th going into the Rutgers game last week. Indiana beating Penn State.
I think Michigan's laying like 12 to Indiana, and Indiana's ranked higher in the polls.
That's because it's Michigan.
I guess.
But I find this to be an intriguing game. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yep.
I think Michigan wins the game. They should. But I find that to be a good game. Another marquee game is the world's largest cocktail party today.
I think they actually call it the world's largest outdoor cocktail
Right.
party is officially the name.
Right,
But I wonder, is it going to indeed be with the pandemic and COVID? But, you're going to keep these guys out of the parking lot? I don't think so.
it's going to impede taking sips of your booze every time you got to take your mask off. But for some reason, I don't see a lot of masks at the cocktail party
No.
going on today.
I don't either.
I don't see mask enforcement either by the law enforcement.
But every time I think about Georgia and I think they're going to make that next step, I like Florida today
You do.
in the cocktail party.
Well, I think they're evenly matched. I've been thinking about this game. I stayed away from it because I think they're two evenly matched teams. It could go either way.
You got to make a pick, Steve?
I got to make a pick. If I'm going to make a pick, I'm going to go with Georgia.
I'm going with Florida.
Okay.
I do.
So
I
that's a
like this
good game
kid.
today.
Yep.
And what else we got on the schedule?
Well,
There's,
let's move to the professional ranks, if you will. Right? We'll call the NFL.
yeah.
COVID. I don't want to use the term running rampant, but it's causing some problems, causing facilities to shut down and so forth. But look, New York fans, we're going. We got an 7 or 8 team, the Jets.
Yeah.
We got the Giants. If things bounce their way for a couple of games, they could be 3 and 4 and
So,
sit in the top of the NFC East.
Let's back up to the Giants.
Go ahead.
All right. I think they played Monday night.
They did play Monday night. I watched the game.
Who'd they play?
Tampa Bay and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
We've heard of him.
Yeah.
Right? Pretty good.
Tampa
quarterback.
Bay was favored by 12.5 points.
Right.
And to your point, the New York Giants, if this ball bounced against the Cowboys, if they did this against the Eagles.
Again, we're not if they did this or
I'm
if
just
this
saying,
happened,
they
but
were
you're right.
competitive against Tampa Bay. And the number 6 overall draft pick in the, NFL a couple years back, franchise quarterback of the Giants.
And I know you put me on the spot with him, and here's my take on
What
it.
was just your take on Monday night? His performance.
I think his performance was excellent. He made some great throws, but again, this turnover thing, it's gotten ludicrous, right? I mean, we're talking about 36 turnovers. And I get it, but talent-wise, I'm not selling them. I like them, and they were very competitive against them.
Okay.
And the call was very controversial at the end. It could have gone either way. Give them a
Okay.
chance at the 2-point conversion.
Uh-huh.
But they didn't win. So they're 1-7 too. So I mean that's what we're dealing with. And,
Okay.
But they're in the NFC East, and you're Dallas Cowboys. And let's talk about your Dallas Cowboys because
Yeah.
things aren't so good in Dallas right now.
No, things are not good at all, actually. But we're hoping that it's a tale of two,
Okay.
the first half and the second half of the season.
You think they could turn it around? Do you?
I do. I think.
You think 8 wins could possibly win the NFC East?
No, I don't
Well,
think.
who else is going to win games? The
Nobody's
Eagles?
winning 8 games at this
The
point.
Redskins? Washington football team? The Giants? No.
I don't think anybody. I think 7 and 9 is probably the highest I'll go. But
I can't remember another time when the team was under 500 won the division. Do you? Has that ever actually
it
happened?
may have happened, but
I thought maybe 8-8 would have.
but not the whole division being
Yeah.
that type of thing. It's so pathetic. But listen, Mike McCarthy had to have a real tough conversation this week with his starting quarterback, Ben DiNucci, and let him know that you're not going to be the starting quarterback anymore, Ben.
The equivalent of your services are no longer
I
required.
also think that may have come down from the owner of the Cowboys.
It actually
Jerry
did
Jones.
come from
It
the
did?
owner. It did.
Wow, that's surprising. That's surprising. But the good news is,
They got a couple of quarterbacks in reserve that they can go with
no doubt,
this week.
absolutely. Garrett Gilbert, of course, from SMU.
SMU.
Garrett is obviously well known throughout NFL circles.
I'm going to say 6 career passes so
Wow.
far. Anyway, and
more going into a start than Ben DiNucci had.
Ben DiNucci.
And then, of course, you have Cooper Rush is back on the scene. Cooper, of course, has been on the Cowboys for 3-4 years, and
drafted by the
yeah,
Cowboys.
we had to waive him probably due to salary cap restrictions, and the Giants took a look at him. They decided Cooper wasn't really for them.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is how pathetic it is
In Dallas.
In Dallas, is we're talking about
Bad.
Ben DiNucci, Garrett Gilbert, right, and Cooper Rush as your 3 alternatives at quarterback to play the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are having a pretty good year.
Very good year. Actually.
So I'm going to say, once we get to our pick segment,
Okay.
I'm all in on the Steelers this week. That's one pick.
Oh, gee. Yeah. Going out
But
on
I'm
a limb,
not,
Steve.
not diminishing the Cowboys' pathetic defensive performance as well. Granted, the offensive line is decimated. I'll grant you that. And again, I'm a Cowboy fan, but it's not an excuse. You have to overcome,
Absolutely.
and that's it.
Yep.
And I will say too, I think we talked a couple weeks ago. Watching Mike McCarthy on the sideline, I'm starting to say,
Has time passed him by?
I don't know if this is Mike McCarthy.
He's my age,
from
by the
10
way.
years.
So
Is he?
this isn't a seniority thing. This
No, I'm
isn't a
just
Joe
sa-
Biden, starting to crack up kind of thing. But he's my age.
Joe Biden. I've heard that name. Heard that name.
So what are we saying? Would you be, surprised if Mike McCarthy doesn't last the season or returns as coach?
He's lasting the season. He'll be back.
He'll be back?
He'll be back.
I'm not sure he's going to be back.
Mike Nolan's not coming back as defensive coordinator, and there will be changes to that coaching staff. That I can assure you.
Okay.
But yes, they're invested in Mike McCarthy. No way they shit can him after 1 year. Can't happen.
I think it's possible. But listen, let's move on and give our 2 picks of the week, right?
I just gave you my one.
Go ahead. What's your second one?
Well, what's your first one? You first.
And you know what? You have convinced me over and over again. I just watched Kansas City, and I just can't see them being stopped. I mean, they're playing Carolina. McCaffrey may be back, but I don't think that's enough. I like Kansas City. That's one of my locks.
Yeah.
And my other lock is Tennessee over Chicago. Chicago is a mess. I couldn't possibly bet on them, so those are my 2 picks.
Who are the Jets playing this week?
The Jets. Oh, who are the Jets playing? The Patriots.
Huh.
The 2-5
Yeah,
Patriots.
they're on a 4-game skid. I'm gonna go with the Patriots with my other pick.
I agree. Jets are at home, though.
Wow. Ooh.
How Sam Darnold has been cleared to play, so he's going to be playing this week. So you're going to take Cam Newton over Sam Darnold? Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna take the New York Jets. Not dare sacrifice losing the number 1 overall pick.
So they're tanking.
That's
Is that
my
what you're saying?
reasoning.
All right. I'm taking New England on that. It's not one of my picks,
No,
but whatever.
I mean, you want to make some money, bet against bet against the Jets for the rest of the season.
I'm not betting against Adam Gase, that's for sure. Anyway, so that's
Smart
our
move.
That's
Smart move.
That's our football stuff. It's football season.
No,
right?
yeah. I mean, another observation in football is the the San Francisco 49ers are absolutely decimated by injury. Decimated.
No. if it's not injuries, it's COVID. I mean, they're just stepping
whatever.
on a.
You got Bosa down weeks ago. Garoppolo,
Kittle's
Samuel, Kittle,
Yeah.
Mostert. I mean, the game against Green Bay, it looked like a scab team. It did. It just through so many injuries. So.
And I couldn't even watch it. I knew it was, what was going to happen. You can't just take all those kind of players off your team and expect to be competitive, especially with the year Aaron Rodgers is having and so forth.
Before we wrap up, I want to get back to Kansas City. So during the Jet game against Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes threw a ball to Tyreek Hill, right?
I saw it.
We were watching it together, right?
Yep.
Not only did Tyreek Hill school the cornerback on the Jets on the route, but it was about a 48-yard pass. Mm-hmm. And what was my observation, or both observation was, it was probably the most impressive ball I've seen thrown. Granted, he was wide open, but what a freaking missile, man! And I said
he
that,
never misses anybody.
but
That's
my point,
wide open.
it was so impressive, right? To me, Dan Marino is the purest thrower of the football, if that makes sense. Patrick Mahomes' ball, I said to myself, oh my God. Because the point got reinforced was they scored the touchdown, commercial break, come back, kickoff, Sam Darnold takes the field.
Right.
And now you're looking at a guy who's literally like throwing a shot put around the field.
Yeah.
That's how good Patrick Mahomes is.
I can't.
I hope I explained that correctly.
I can't say enough about this guy, and I wouldn't bet against him. He's, to me, like a Russell Wilson. These guys just, you look at him, you say, I don't know, not the traditional Dan Marino type quarterback, right? But unbelievable. He's a winner. The guy's a winner, and he's already proven that he could win.
Right.
He's going to be the biggest star in the NFL for the next.
Back to my original point, one of the best pure throwers of the football.
Dude, he looks very unorthodox.
But
at
the
times,
velocity and it's just it's for me as an ex-quarterback, it's a sight to behold.
I know what you're saying, but in the traditional sense, sometimes he just makes plays, and
I get that.
It looks unorthodox, but that's the definition of a winner.
I'm just talking about this play in particular.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So that's pretty much a wrap on the NFL.
Yep, and let's move on to something Major League Baseball, because there's a couple of things that happen, and I want to first say that this is sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut, and again, loyal sponsor of the show, and we thank them very much.
Thank you very much, Mike.
So, Steve, baseball, couple of items that came up. Surprised? Not surprised. Alex Cora going back to the Red Sox.
Oh, completely surprised. My ass.
You thought it was a done deal from day one?
Now listen, so when they handed down the suspensions and so on, I mean,
he wasn't Hinch. I mean, he wasn't. Nobody really fingered him.
It was part of Hinch. Same thing.
Okay, all right.
Right? They don't get suspended unless there's evidence to support it.
All right, I'll give you that.
However, I think Boston, I think Houston, I think Major League Baseball, wink, wink, right? And I said Hinch would be back and Cora would be back. Did I predict that they would be back with the same teams? No, I thought that would be a stretch.
Well, Hinch went to the Tigers.
I know, but Cora's back with the Red Sox is my point.
Yep.
So my point being is the Red Sox are like, Alex, we got to do this. He's fine.
Take your medicine. We'll bring you back.
We talked about Alex about 2 months ago and how contrite he was and admitted without admitting a lot of things.
Yeah.
Okay?
He's a class act. I like him.
You saw what Boston, the year they've had without him.
Yep.
I think
there's a lot of other things going on.
Time heals all, even though it's still a short period of time. But nobody's going to blink over this.
No, I get it.
And listen,
I get it.
He's the right guy for the Red Sox. And
I think he's a great manager, too.
Listen, he's won a world championship already. Right?
Yeah.
But am I surprised? Not in the least.
Okay.
Not in the least.
But one thing I wanted to bring up certainly for our New York fans is Steve Cohen got blessed and is taking over the ownership of the team. And we know that the horrific past of the Mets organization, years and years and years, and now this guy, he's got a few bucks, right?
All will be
Concede that?
forgiven. The New York Mets in the next 3 years, I'm telling you folks right now,
Could possibly contend for a World Series.
Not could possibly contend. Will contend, if not win a World Series.
Wow,
in
that's a
3
bold
years.
statement.
Why?
That's a bold statement.
I am telling you, the New York Mets are probably going to surpass the New York Yankees in popularity. I think in World Series. I think players are want to
Simply
play
because
here.
of the money that Cohen has?
Yes, and simply because
Don't all baseball owners have that kind of
because
money?
Steve Cohen is unique in the fact that he's actually a true Met fan.
I get it.
No, you don't. I don't think you do.
No, I do. And
Because he's got more money than he knows what to do with.
okay, but so do most people that buy baseball teams. They have that kind of money.
They don't have the passion that this guy has for this franchise.
I'm not debating you. I think this is great for the Mets, and I think it's going to turn it around finally after all this time. Somebody that actually gets it. And you're right. You brought it up. He grew up as a Met fan.
His father's a Met fan. His mother's a Met fan. His mother's a mother.
His mother's a mother.
But the point being is, he has not disappointed right out of the gate.
What did he do yesterday?
Totally. I'm like sitting there at work with my buddy, at work. It was a diehard Met fan. And we were waiting for the countdown. I said, I assure you, before the week is over.
You even called that.
I absolutely did.
Slaughterhouse Five?
Brody and company will be shown the door faster once he's signed, sealed, delivered, approved, etc.
And he did do that.
He did not disappoint.
He did.
I think it's a good move bringing Sandy Alderson back.
I did
He's
too.
a very good baseball mind. Beat cancer. We talked about it. We talked about La Russa last week, joking. He's 76.
These are 70-year-old guys.
Yeah, but-
Alderson's, at
But
least
Alderson's
73.
going to put the right guys in place. Ultimately, Sandy makes the deal. Ultimately, Sandy reports to Cohen.
But let me ask you this, because Sandy was there before, and you're saying because of the ownership, his hands were tied, and
Absolutely.
that's why. So now he's got a free checkbook, and he can do whatever he wants. And they're going to sign George Springer, and they're going to trade for Francisco Lindor, and they're going to do all this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so money matters. Right?
Money matters.
Okay.
Now let's talk about the previous ownership of the New York Mets. That's the reason Sandy Alderson's hands were tied, because of the Wilpons. Fred is obviously 198 years old and kind of out of the mix, but that punk Jeff Wilpon, yes, that was the problem.
No, I think this is great. Steve, I do not disagree with you at all on this.
I
think
am
it's great for
envious,
the
actually,
Mets.
that Steve Cohen is the owner. I think Hal Steinbrenner is a great owner. I do. I think I couldn't be happier with Hal Steinbrenner. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Mets with this guy, I think the Met fan is going to finally get their due.
But let's talk about this.
Which with the Jet fan will be so envious of.
Right,
if
Steve
that makes
Cohen
sense.
should buy the Jets, and then maybe
He
the
could
Jets
buy,
will.
oh my
right?
God, he could buy 3 NFL teams and 2 Major League Baseball teams if that was allowed.
But let's talk about that, because sometimes money. Yes, we get it, and you bring this up all the time. What's it all about? Money. The Yankees have had more money than anybody, right? And we've seen, they get player after player. They bring Stanton in. They're paying him. Still got $218 million on his contract. Believe me. You think he was going to opt out? No, he opted in on his option year, right?
Wasn't even.
But
an
that
option.
doesn't guarantee you win a World Series.
No, it doesn't.
And that's the thing that, if they get, I don't think the Sandy Alderson, if he gets the players that he wants, is the right manager in place? I don't know.
That was another question I had a debate with my
Luis
fellow.
Rojas, right? We're talking
Yeah,
about
I said, my observation was once the news came down on Brody, which again I said I wasn't surprised in the time frame.
Yep.
They didn't let the manager go, and you know what? I think they're going to give him a year, and like a year under their
And wouldn't it be
stewardship.
What, before they bring back Carlos Beltran?
Nah, before they bring back who Sandy Alderson thinks is the right person. The point is they're going to give the kid a chance. Okay?
First year, no question about it.
I mean, this will be his first year. You know, this COVID crap and all this stuff. I
I got it.
mean,
It was a
you know what I
shortened
mean?
season. Shortened season.
But if they were going to make that move, they would have made it with the Brody thing. He would have been gone,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. No, but I thought that came very swift. He just got approved last week,
Came right within the time frame I thought it was.
and
I'm
Van
not
Wagenen
surprised.
had to see this coming, right?
What does he care? This guy is like an agent type. I mean,
He'd go back to being an agent
exactly.
and negotiate with the Mets and get some crazy free agent.
Exactly.
I got it. I'm with
He
you.
can make an HBO show about this.
But you're right. But 3 years, maybe aggressive. 4 years, I could see if they
Why
put
would
the
3
piece-
years be aggressive? They have Jacob deGrom on the mound. They got all the talent that, you know, your Confortos and all this other shit.
I agree.
Right?
They got some great talent.
And
no
yes,
question.
there's rumors that they want Lindor. And guess what Sandy Alderson's going to tell, who's he on? Cleveland, or right?
Cleveland, yeah.
Okay. Outside of Jacob deGrom, take whoever you want.
Yeah.
Really?
You can't trade, or put Conforto out there because
Yes,
he's
you
a player.
can.
No.
Yeah,
that's,
you can.
That's over the
I'm
top.
telling you right now.
That'd be too big. a hole
Outside
to fill.
Jacob deGrom,
He's
Name
becoming
your
like the
price.
David Wright. Remember how he was beloved by Met fans and a solid player? Conforto is the cornerstone of that franchise.
what are we talking about? I
Off
like
the-
I
off-
like
not-
Conforto. Don't get me wrong. How many batting titles? How many home? He's not. He doesn't exactly stay healthy every year.
He's not DJ LeMahieu.
He's a nice.
is what
He's
you're
a
saying,
nice
right?
player.
got
But
it.
you want Conforto to get Lindor? Take him.
I just wonder if, another Met signing of a guy on, I don't want to say the downside of his career, but Lindor's been around for a while. I mean, playing shortstop in a
The
major
Mets
league.
wouldn't have a hard on for Lindor unless Lindor's still got plenty in the
Oh,
tank.
I heard some ridiculous thing guys were talking about. The Yankees should trade, DJ LeMahieu for Lindor or something.
The
And
Yankees
we talked
are
about
not
that.
trading DJ LeMahieu under any circumstances.
Well, they should.
And in fact, they're
They
going to
should.
lock him up. DJ LeMahieu is not going anywhere
I got you.
because he is my favorite
I know.
Yankee.
Winner of the Silver Slugger Award, whatever that means. But
And you know why I love DJ LeMahieu? He couldn't give a shit if he won the Silver Slugger Award. He gives a shit about winning a world championship,
yeah, he's a good player.
and he's a great guy.
And that's a cornerstone of your team. You fell into him and you got him, and that's awesome.
Right. He's like a Cespedes type of guy, character guy.
Yep. Yeah, almost like that. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
But to finish, there'll be no more Cespedeses on the Mets. It's just not going to happen under this new regime. Okay?
The Bobby Bonilla contract.
And I think that's why that will translate.
No, but I think it's great for the
Good
Mets.
stuff for the Mets.
I do. I think Cohen is the right guy for their team.
It's
I
not
think
even.
it's excellent.
It's not even debatable.
Yep. So listen, there's a couple other things we're going to talk about before we end the show, and there's a couple things going on that are pretty big, right? You know the mono and mono history of horse racing. We love it,
Yeah,
right? Triple
sure.
Crown. It was crazy over the past year, but Breeders' Cup weekend
Yeah.
at Keeneland, which our
Right.
father and
In
our
Kentucky,
sister were.
We mentioned it last week.
Yep. What a lineup. What a starting lineup in the Breeders' Classic this year. We got horses, and you've heard of them all from the show. 'Tis the Law, Authentic, Maximum Security, this guy's all over the place, right?
Right.
Improbable, Tacitus. So, the only one missing was Swiss Skydiver, who the filly that beat the guys at the Preakness, which was the final leg of the Triple Crown this year.
What a show off.
Perfect weekend for racing. This is where Keeneland is a very beautiful,
It's a pristine track. It's a great venue for the.
and it's awesome. So I wanted to bring it up because here's my picks, and Steve, from previous shows when we played the Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont, we give you 3 horses. Do whatever you want with them. But we've been pretty good this year. And I like 'Tis the Law. I think it's going to come down to 'Tis the Law and Improbable.
Good.
And I know Authentic beat him, in the second leg of the race, but of the Triple Crown this year. But this is an all-star cast for the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland in Kentucky, and I'm going to go with Improbable and Tis the Law to fight it out for the winner. And these are there's only like 10 horses in the race. But there is one long shot, and I always give you one just to, do whatever you want with your $5. Global Campaign.
Global Campaign.
Could be one of the sleepers, long shots that come in. It's worth $5.
Okay,
right?
sure.
Kind of like your Sir Winston pick 2
Yeah.
years ago where
I hear
you nailed it.
Yeah.
But I look for, and that's not dismissing Authentic, but I think he had his day. I think it's Tis the Law's been off for quite a while, and I'm looking for him and Improbable to come down the stretch. That's my Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is Tis the Law.
Okay.
That's it.
There you go, folks. There's our
Tis
Breeders'
the
Cup.
Law.
I know. I'm throwing him in there with Improbable, but I'm a big Tis the Law fan, and I was pulling for him to win the Triple Crown, but it wasn't meant to be. Enjoy the day. Breeders' Cup.
Sure.
Keeneland, Kentucky.
Yep.
It's where the Queen Mum goes to visit every once a year.
Yes.
I don't know about.
We
with
did
COVID.
mention that last week, the Queen Mum. You know who's not going to be attending the Breeders' Cup with the Queen Mum?
Meghan Markle,
Prince Andrew.
Prince Andrew. Oh, there's a Jeffrey Epstein memorial today. He needs to go to.
Yeah. Not only is Prince Andrew banned from Buckingham Palace,
Oh God, he's got.
but I don't think it would be in his best interest to step into United States territory.
He's got some dirty fingernails. That guy.
Oh my
boy.
God. Lolita Island.
Forget it. I don't want to go there.
I just thought I'd mention that Prince Andrew will not be attending the Breeders' Cup
All right.
with the Queen Mum.
Okay. But there's also another event, and this is our show. It's Saturday, so it starts on Thursday. The Masters. We love the Masters.
We do.
Beautiful Augusta, Georgia.
Sure.
And Mike Garvey from Florida said, looking forward to your Masters preview. And said, preview? Everything's a little bit different now. It's 2020. Things are...
God.
This should have been played 5 months ago.
I was just going to say, I had like a weird dream a couple months ago. I'm like...
Don't they play that in April?
I had a dream like Masters was going to be played, I don't know, near
November?
like Thanksgiving time or something. It was weird.
I don't know how that, what the azaleas are going to look like, but it still is the Masters going for the green jacket. And
All right.
I don't have to ask you who I think you're going to pick because I know, and now that you know he's very healthy, I'm going to say Steve is going to pick Brooks Koepka. Right? Do you bet against Brooks Koepka?
I never bet against Brooks Koepka.
Right.
But let's be real here, okay? It
Yep.
seems to be one of our catchphrases. At least for me, let's be real,
Right.
so to speak.
Remember, Danny Willett won the Masters, so anybody could win it. and that's
Angel
our thing.
Cabrera has won the Masters, right? Twice, I think. The point is, we've talked about it ad nauseum. There are just so many young, good golfers that
Yep.
could step up on this weekend, right?
Yep.
And
It just takes 4 days of great golf and
Right.
things to go your way. We get that, right?
So, to pick the winner for the Masters, I think it's a little harder, in my opinion, than a U.S. Open or something.
So it's not a foregone conclusion that Eldrick Woods is going to win the Masters because he plays great there.
I think it's
even though he's played like crap in the past, 3
but
months.
I think it's a foregone conclusion that Eldrick has been quiet, hasn't really played. I would imagine he is back, probably feels good. I would imagine
Yep.
Eldrick has, with his obviously access to the Masters, has played many secret practice rounds, building up to it.
Oh my God!
Am I going to predict Eldrick winning? I'm going to predict that Eldrick is going to make some noise.
Okay.
I think.
Top 10?
Yeah, I think Eldrick.
Okay.
I may even go top 5. I think Eldrick has been lying in wait for this.
That's
Okay,
what we've been thinking that.
that's
for
just my
many, many
opinion.
years.
Whether
Okay.
that comes to fruition, but that's my thought going in.
But Brooks has got to be your guy. You've been a Brooks guy.
I'm a
from
Brooks
day
guy.
one. And we know how he performs in majors.
But he
loves
hasn't
it.
really. The Masters hasn't been his.
That's the mountain he needs to climb.
Well, yeah,
you know.
yeah. Dustin Johnson's another guy, right?
Yep. Justin Thomas.
Right.
You know, these are guys.
We've
that-
talked about it.
I know you were waiting for me to say I'm picking Ricky Fowler for his first Masters.
All right. Do you want to go? All right. I'll shut up for 5 seconds.
No.
Go ahead.
But he is one of the young guns that you brought up before and say
not a young gun anymore.
anybody can win it.
Ricky's not a young gun anymore.
He can't be a day over 30 for
He's
crying
not
out
a young
loud.
gun because of the 21s and the 20s and the 19s and the.
So I'm going to give
23
you my
guys.
sleeper pick.
Wait, you asked me who I think is going to win,
Yep.
and I'm going to go with.
Drum roll, please.
Justin Rose
Justin Rose.
to win it again.
He's got a Masters jacket. He's got a green
I'm going
jacket.
to go with Justin Rose.
I think his days have passed. He's
Why?
in his 40s now.
Oh,
or
he's in his 40s?
Close to 40s now.
Oh, he's much older than he was, 24 months ago.
And, that's a fair pick.
I'm going to go with Justin Rose.
But I fully expect Brooks Koepka to be in the top 5. But I don't think he's going to win it. I'm going out on a limb, and I'm saying I like these younger guns, as you put it.
I already know who you're picking. Say it.
Go ahead.
No?
Colin Morikawa.
No, I was going to...
That's who I'm picking.
Okay. To be honest, we were very honest on our show. I thought you were going to go with John Rahm.
I know. I've been, I've been a favorite of his, and over again. I just don't think he has the calmness, to win the Masters yet.
Well,
Did win his first major.
It's November, though. It's not the calmness of April with the tweet, 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 and the birdies coming out and spring is in the air.
But I'm going to go with Brooks in the top 5. I'm not sure this is McIlroy. I don't know what he's been doing, where he's been playing. But I'm not going to go with him, and I'm not going with Ricky Fowler in my top 5.
Okay. So I'm going to
But
go
Colin
with
Morikawa is my
that's a
my
fair-
younger gun, and I really like this.
All right. So I'm going to stick.
Not to be confused with Siwoo Kim, by the way.
Of course.
PGA champ.
Please. Who would confuse those two?
Don't think he may not make noise.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to say I won't be surprised if Eldrick wins. I think Eldrick will. All right, I went on a limb. I'll say top 5. I think Eldrick makes noise. I'm going to say Justin Rose as a quiet guy who's such a great golfer has won it before.
Yes.
And I'm going to throw in.
That's not a reach, actually.
I'm going to throw in Dustin Johnson because he's so super
Because he's
talented.
Dustin Johnson.
Because he's Dustin Johnson. That I wouldn't be surprised if Justin wins his first Masters.
Fair enough.
But again, I'm going to stick with Justin Rose.
And again, we don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what Augusta looks like, and not in the first weekend of April. Are the flowers there? Is it going to be pristine like we were accompanied to or accustomed to?
Listen, I can't imagine that it's going to look scenic-wise the same as April.
Yeah.
It's just I don't think it's possible.
It is the Masters. It is November, and it's different, but we're going to crown a Masters champion.
Yeah,
And
listen,
somebody's
I'm
gonna don the
watching.
green
Don't get
jacket.
me wrong. It's the Masters,
Of course.
right?
What else could I be doing?
We love the Masters. It's
I'd
our
miss
favorite.
it unless
It's
it
our
was.
favorite. Let's be real. U.S. Open's up there, but
It's 1-2 with me, but you got to say the
it's
Masters.
just such a beautiful venue.
It is.
and unique in golf.
You bet.
So
But listen, those are the last couple of things, and I got some actually good news, Steve.
yeah,
I don't have any notable passings this week.
yeah, that is. We talked about it before the show.
There's been no shortage
I
of that.
said that's
over
not a bad thing.
exactly.
It's not a bad thing.
Maybe things are okay.
I
But
mean,
that's-
yesterday, last week's show. I mean, we had a flurry in the morning.
and we didn't do our Sean Connery. I meant to bring that up, Steve. Who does the best Sean Connery? Obviously, I do. But Steve, I'm going to give you your Sean Connery shot before we sign off.
Now,
You know, I'm going to sign off as Sean Connery, Steve.
I think for the audience benefit, I'll bring up my Sean Connerys going down the pike,
Okay.
and then we'll let the audience know. Those that know the host, Steve Monahan, know I do the best Sean Connery.
Okay.
But they also know I don't do them on demand.
I think our fans were just going, I think Sean Connery was in the Mono and Mono studio.
Right. Okay.
Bond, James Bond, of course. Did I go on? Anyway, but
This
listen.
money penny.
But thanks for joining us. And again, Steve, our final sponsor before we sign off. De Filippi's Bakery in Monticello, New York. Again, loyal listener and sponsor of our show, and we thank them, But there's a lot going on. Enjoy the weekend. If you're in the Northeast, you got gorgeous weather, unprecedented weather, actually.
Right.
Right? Gets dark at 5 o'clock now, so you get to watch football in the dark.
Yeah, I think it's so nice out. I'm like thinking about actually going rock climbing and maybe rappel off. Oh, God, I don't know.
Nah.
5,000 feet worth of rock or something.
I think I'll watch some college football or something like that.
Yeah.
No, maybe the St. Petersburg and Catholic game at 1 o'clock.
I don't even know if I need any harnesses out there today. Maybe I would just wing it.
I made tuna, Tony. You like tuna? Anyway, but thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll catch up to you next week.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the Breeders' Cup, the Masters.
Any questions, comments, as always, sportswithmono and mono at gmail.com.
Yep.
We always love the feedback.
Yep.
And listen, you agree, you disagree, sometimes, we're in show business, James.
Is it possible that we're not always right?
I think it's possible that maybe some people out there.
And I'll do a little pun for the Breeders' Cup. Possible, but improbable. There you go.
Wow.
See that? Little entertainment.
The wit. It's unbelievable.
It just doesn't stop.
just doesn't
Razor
stop.
sharp.
Wow.
Enjoy your weekend,
Have a great
everybody.
weekend, everybody. We always love and appreciate our audience, and thanks for listening.
And we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.